Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're traveling back over 5,000 years to explore one of the first and greatest civilizations in human history. Mesopotamia, the place where everything began. Have you ever wondered where the first human civilization started? Before the great pyramids of Egypt, before the grand cities of Rome, before the famous myths of Greece, there was a land where people first wrote down their history. A land where the first cities were built, where kings ruled, where writing, laws, and great buildings were created. More than 5,000 years ago, in a dry but fertile land between two big rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, the first people stopped moving from place to place. They no longer had to search for food and water every day. Instead, they learned how to farm, build houses, and create towns. Over time, they built some of the world's first cities. Uruk, the first big city in history, home of great kings, and Babylon, a beautiful city with its famous hanging gardens. But Mesopotamia was special not just because of its cities and farms. It was also where people first invented writing small symbols carved into clay tablets. That allowed them to record history. King Hammurabi created the first written laws in this region. People also built ziggurats, huge temples that looked like stairways to the sky. Finally, they looked at the stars and started measuring time, creating the first ideas of astronomy. But why did civilization begin here? What made these early people stop moving and start building? And how did Mesopotamia, a land that looked like a dry desert, become the birthplace of one of the greatest civilizations in history? Let's travel back 5,000 years to explore the amazing story of Mesopotamia, where it all began. Chapter 1: Definition and Geographical Location. Mesopotamia is an ancient land that played a crucial role in human history. The name Mesopotamia comes from Greek, where Meso means between and Potamus means river. This refers to the region located between two great rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. Thanks to its favorable natural conditions, Mesopotamia became one of the earliest centers of civilization today. This region covers parts of modern-day Iraq, eastern Syria, eastern Turkey, and western Iran. With its flat terrain, fertile soil, enriched by river sediments, and abundant water supply, Mesopotamia provided the perfect environment for the development of early cities, writing systems, laws, and many scientific and technological achievements. Because of this, Mesopotamia is often called the cradle of human civilization. Mesopotamia, located between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, was one of the first regions in the world to develop civilization. This was not by chance, but the result of many natural advantages that allowed people to settle, farm, and build complex societies. With fertile land, convenient transportation, flat terrain, and human efforts to adapt to nature, Mesopotamia became one of the cradles of human civilization. One of the most important factors in its development was the water supply from the two major rivers, which brought rich soil and created ideal conditions for agriculture. Every year, floods from the Tigris and Euphrates deposited a large amount of silt, enriching the land and making farming easier without the need for artificial fertilizers or crop rotation. As a result, people in Mesopotamia could grow wheat, barley, beans, dates, and many other crops, ensuring a stable food supply. When they no longer had to move constantly in search of food, they could settle in one place, build villages, and gradually develop large cities. Additionally, the river system not only provided water but also made waterway transportation possible, which boosted trade. The Tigris and Euphrates acted as major transportation routes, allowing people to travel, trade, and exchange goods with other regions. Because of this convenient transportation, the people of Mesopotamia could transport wheat, barley, pottery, fabrics, metals, and wood to distant places without relying on rough and difficult land routes. This led to a boom in trade, turning riverbank cities into bustling economic centers that attracted merchants from all. Another advantage of Mesopotamia was its flat terrain, with few dense forests or high mountains, making it easier to expand territories, build infrastructure, and develop cities. As a result, large cities could grow and connect easily, promoting cultural and economic exchange between regions. However, the flat land also had a disadvantage. It was vulnerable to attacks from outside forces. This meant that Mesopotamian cities often had to build walls to protect themselves from invasions. Moreover, despite having two major rivers, Mesopotamia had a hot and dry climate with little rainfall, meaning that water was not always abundant. To solve this problem, the people of Mesopotamia developed one of the earliest irrigation systems in history. They built canals to bring river water to their fields, reservoirs to store water for dry seasons, and drainage systems to control flooding. Thanks to these innovations, they could manage water effectively, ensuring enough supply for farming and daily life, which helped civilization grow steadily. With all these advantages, fertile land enriched by silt, a developed waterway transport system that boosted trade, flat terrain that allowed expansion, and an advanced irrigation system that controlled water supply, Mesopotamia became one of the best places for civilization to emerge. It laid the foundation for the rise of cities, writing systems, laws, and many other achievements that shaped human history. Chapter 2: The First Communities and the Formation of Cities. The Sumerians, the first civilization in human history. The Sumerians, who lived in Mesopotamia from around 4000 to 2300 BCE, are considered the first civilization in human history. They developed independent city-states such as Uruk, Lagash, Eridu, and Nipper. Among them, Uruk was the world's first city, with a population of around 50,000 people. It had strong defensive walls to protect its residents from attacks, and became the most important political, cultural, and economic center of its time. One of the most famous structures built by the Sumerians was the ziggurat, a step-shaped pyramid made of mud bricks. The ziggurat was not only a religious center where people worshipped their gods, but also a place of power where rulers managed trade, economy, and administration. It even served as a storage facility for food supplies, helping to maintain stability in the city. The Sumerians' greatest achievement was the invention of cuneiform writing around 30 to 100 BCE. This writing system started as pictograms and later evolved into wedge-shaped symbols pressed onto clay tablets. Cuneiform was used for recording trade transactions, tax collection, laws, religious texts, and literary works, including the Epic of Gilgamesh, the world's oldest known story. This invention marked a turning point in human history, laying the foundation for organized government, record-keeping, and education. The achievements of the Sumerians not only led to the rise of urban civilization, but also influenced later empires such as Akkad, Babylon, and Assyria, shaping the course of human history. The rise of great empires after more than 1,000 years of flourishing. The Sumerian civilization began to decline around 2300 BCE. City-states like Uruk and Lagash gradually lost power due to internal conflicts and invasions by foreign tribes. The lack of a unified central government made Sumer vulnerable to outside conquests. As Sumer weakened, powerful empires began to rise, marking a new era in Mesopotamian history. Taking advantage of Sumer's decline, Sargon the Great, a brilliant Akkadian general, conquered and unified the Sumerian city-states, establishing the world's first empire. Under Sargon's rule, the Akkadian Empire expanded from Mesopotamia to the Mediterranean, controlling key trade routes and creating a centralized administration to maintain control over its vast territory. However, by 2100 BCE, the Akkadian Empire weakened due to internal struggles and invasions from tribes like the Gutians, leading to its collapse. Following the chaos after Akkad's fall, the city of Babylon rose to power under King Hammurabi, reigned around 1792 to 1750 BCE. He introduced the Code of Hammurabi, the world's first written legal code, which was inscribed on a large stone stele. This code established the famous principle of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and detailed punishments for various crimes. In addition to its legal advancements, Babylon became a major political and economic center, thanks to its strategic location and advanced irrigation systems. During Hammurabi's reign, Babylonian culture and architecture thrived, with the construction of temples, palaces, and an extensive network of canals for agriculture. However, after Hammurabi's death, Babylon weakened and was conquered by the Hittites from Anatolia around 1595 BCE. Following a period of decline, the Assyrians from northern Mesopotamia rose to power, creating a mighty military empire known for its brutal conquests and advanced warfare technology. They developed iron weapons, which gave their army a major advantage over opponents still using bronze. Their military strategies included siege warfare, using battering rams and wooden bridges to breach heavily fortified cities. Besides their military strength, the Assyrians were also known for their Library of Nineveh, built by King Ashurbanipal. This library contained over 30,000 clay tablets inscribed with cuneiform writing, preserving valuable knowledge about science, astronomy, medicine, and literature. However, due to their harsh rule, the Assyrians faced strong resistance from their subjects. In 612 BCE, a coalition of Babylonians and Medes attacked and destroyed the Assyrian Empire. After defeating the Assyrians, the Babylonians regained dominance over Mesopotamia during the Neo-Babylonian Empire, led by King Nebuchadnezzar II 605 to 560 BCE. Under his reign, Babylon entered a golden age, with monumental structures such as the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the seven wonders of the ancient world, featuring lush green terraces watered by an advanced irrigation system. Another magnificent structure was the Ishtar Gate, one of Babylon's greatest architectural achievements. It was built with blue-glazed bricks and decorated with images of lions, bulls, and dragons, symbolizing the empire's prosperity and power. During Nebuchadnezzar's rule, Babylon became the largest trade and cultural center of the time. However, in 539 BCE, the Neo-Babylonian Empire fell to the Persian army led by Cyrus the Great, marking the end of Mesopotamia's last great empire. The fall of Sumer paved the way for the rise of great empires such as Akkad, Babylon, Assyria, and Neo-Babylon, each leaving a lasting impact on politics, military strategies, law, architecture, and culture. These civilizations laid the foundation for the development of human history. Chapter 3: The Great Achievements of the Mesopotamian Civilization. The Mesopotamian civilization was one of the most brilliant ancient civilizations, emerging around the 4th millennium BCE in the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. This region gave rise to powerful city-states such as Sumer, Akkad, Babylon, and Assyria. It was also the birthplace of many important inventions that laid the foundation for human society. From writing, law, and architecture to astronomy, mathematics, and technology, each achievement of this civilization had a lasting impact on later cultures. One of Mesopotamia's greatest contributions was writing. Around 3100 BCE, the Sumerians invented cuneiform, the world's first writing system. Initially, it was used for recording economic transactions, such as counting livestock, crops, and trade goods. Over time, it evolved into a tool for preserving literature, history, science, laws, and religious texts. Famous works like the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest mythological stories, were written in cuneiform. To write, the Sumerians used a triangular-shaped wooden stylus to press symbols onto soft clay tablets, which were then dried or baked for durability. Thanks to this method, thousands of records have survived, giving archaeologists valuable insight into Mesopotamian life and thought. Besides writing, Mesopotamians also laid the foundation for law, with the Code of Hammurabi, written around 1750 for BCE under King Hammurabi of Babylon. This was the first known written legal code, containing 282 laws inscribed on a large stone slab placed in public for everyone to read and follow. The code followed the principle of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, meaning punishments had to match the severity of the crime. However, it also reflected social hierarchy, with different penalties depending on a person's status. In addition to criminal laws, the Code of Hammurabi covered property rights, business contracts, marriage, inheritance, and labor responsibilities, helping maintain social order and protect citizens' rights. Mesopotamians also left a strong mark on architecture. One of their most iconic structures was the ziggurat, a step pyramid temple that served as a religious and political center. These structures, built with mud bricks, could reach heights of 20 to 30 meters and featured multiple levels, with the top dedicated to the city's patron deity. Another famous architectural achievement was the Ishtar Gate of Babylon, built around 575 BCE under King Nebuchadnezzar II. Decorated with blue glazed bricks and images of lions, bulls, and dragons, the gate symbolized the power and wealth of the Babylonian Empire. These structures not only showcased impressive craftsmanship, but also demonstrated Mesopotamians' advanced engineering skills in addition to architecture. Mesopotamians made important contributions to astronomy and mathematics. They created the base 60 number system, which is why we still divide time into hours, minutes, and seconds today. Using this system, they also divided a circle into 360 degrees, forming the basis for geometry and astronomy. Moreover, they developed a lunisolar calendar based on the cycles of the moon and sun, helping them predict eclipses and regulate agricultural seasons. These advancements had practical applications in daily life, from timekeeping to religious rituals, to adapt to their harsh environment. Mesopotamians developed innovative technologies to improve their lives. They built irrigation systems to manage water from the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, enabling efficient farming and the growth of large cities. Due to the scarcity of stone and wood, they invented sun-dried and kiln-fired mud bricks, a cheap but sturdy material used for constructing houses, city walls, and temples. Clearly, Mesopotamian civilization left behind an incredible legacy that influenced many aspects of human history. Their inventions in writing, law, architecture, astronomy, mathematics, and technology not only shaped their society, but also laid the groundwork for modern civilization. These achievements continue to echo through time, proving that Mesopotamia was one of the greatest civilizations in history. Chapter 4: The Decline of the Mesopotamian Civilization. The civilization of Mesopotamia, one of the most brilliant ancient civilizations, thrived for thousands of years due to its favorable location between the Tigris and Euphrates. However, the decline of this civilization was caused by several factors, including natural challenges, continuous wars, invasions from outside forces, and changes in trade routes. In terms of natural challenges, although Mesopotamia was considered fertile land due to the two large rivers, it faced harsh conditions. The climate was dry, and over time, droughts became more severe, causing the soil to lose its fertility. To deal with this, the people of Mesopotamia built irrigation systems to control water for farming, which initially helped agriculture grow. However, over time, the excessive use of irrigation led to salinization. When the water evaporated, salt was left behind in the soil, making it less productive and weakening the agricultural economy, which was the foundation of Mesopotamian society. In addition to these natural challenges, the constant wars between city-states weakened Mesopotamia. City-states like Uruk, Lagash, and Kish frequently fought each other to control resources and territory. Later, powerful empires like Akkad, Babylon, and Assyria also fought wars to expand or defend their power. These continuous wars drained resources and made the region vulnerable to outside invasions. As internal strength weakened, Mesopotamia became an easy target for stronger forces. In 539 BCE, the Persian Empire, led by King Cyrus the Great, defeated Babylon, officially ending the Mesopotamian civilization that had lasted over 3,000 years. This marked the end of a powerful civilization, but also a turning point in human history. Furthermore, the shifting of trade routes played a significant role in Mesopotamia's decline. At its peak, Mesopotamia was an important trading center, connecting with regions like Egypt, India, Central Asia, and the Mediterranean. However, as empires like Persia, Greece, and Rome grew stronger and developed maritime trade routes, trade through Mesopotamia lost its importance. This led to an economic decline as Mesopotamia no longer maintained its role as a bustling trade hub, despite its fall. The Mesopotamian civilization left behind valuable legacies for human history. Their contributions to writing, law, mathematics, and astronomy continue to influence later civilizations. Even though it declined, the achievements of Mesopotamia live on in the world's cultural heritage, proving that the greatness of a civilization is not only measured by its duration, but also by the lasting impact it has on future generations. Although the Mesopotamian civilization has disappeared, it left behind many important contributions to humanity. They invented writing, created the first laws, built the earliest cities, and made great discoveries in astronomy and mathematics. These achievements not only shaped ancient societies, but still influence our world today. Even though Mesopotamia is now just ruins, its knowledge and ideas still exist in books, laws, and scientific advancements. A civilization may fall, but its legacy will live on forever.